me see what is going on here. Okay, well, I guess we're live. Interesting. Okay, because it looks weird. All right. So, anybody tuning in, thank you for being here. We are doing this live, so people could hop in the chat and leave any kind of questions they have for Brett. I'll try to get to the questions after. Okay, that was a rookie mistake, but okay, at least we know the sound's working. That was so it's live on YouTube now. Um, So, if anyone has any questions, we'll try to listen to Brett's story first, and then we'll get to any questions, right? So, I'll try not to interrupt him if he's in the middle of, sharing his story. So, but by all means, please do put any questions you have in the chat. So, this is Bret Ressler, right? He's the co-founder of the Cosmic Awakening community, and I am reading this so I don't get anything wrong. Usui, he's also an Usui Reiki Master. He specializes in leading individuals and groups through energy, alignment, and balancing practices. He also had an NDE, which I was not aware of. So, I definitely am anxious to hear about that. In 2020, and he started channeling Atlantean energy, right? So we'll get into all of that. And let me see. Well, yeah, I mean, pretty much. And now you're working with those energies to help people remember, I guess, things from the past as well, right? So that's beautiful. I'm very excited to hear about your story as well as many others, right? Others wanted to hear your story. So welcome, Brett. Thank you for being here. I'm honored.
I'm so honored to be here with you, Omar, because I've said, well, who would I want to tell this story to? And it's Omar, because you are like a beacon of excitement and joy. And I always just hear, like, anytime I hear any of your videos, I unfortunately don't get to hear all of them because you way mass produce videos. It's hard to keep up with. But anytime I hear you, I just hear, a heart centered focus. I just hear the truth. I just hear, and you're a member of Cosmic Awakening. So it makes sense, to come on your podcast.
No, thank you so much. I'm honored. And so we'll get right into it. I always love to start with my guests in the beginning, right? Uh, I always like to hear, if you were already experiencing things as a child and then you kind of blocked things out and then later you had this huge awakening, or did it all just hit you later on in life?
Sure. Well, let's see. The earliest memories I remember being a very spiritual kid. I'm
Mm,
in I think it was pre-K. Pre-K, everyone was like, "What are we gonna play?" And all the boys are like, "Yeah, let's do this, do that." And I was like, let's play Jesus." And everyone's like, "No, no, let's not." And I got really upset about it. It was a weird thing, and I pretended I died on the cross, and I closed my eyes, and my they had to call my mom to come pick me up because they said I wouldn't open my eyes. And well, I didn't have to wait 3 days, and luckily she came in and you know gently. I don't remember exactly what she said or what did what, but mom got me to open my eyes, and so and beyond that they always supported. In like I was in a Lutheran church,
mm,
and we followed that doctrine and that you know different um, aspects of the religion. Um, so when I remember asking questions um, about when you hear the stories of miracles and you know feeding the hungry, laying hands, moving mountains, and I remember them always saying, um, "You can do that, right? It says in the Bible. You you can do these things also." And then I sort of asked people, how do you do that stuff? How do you do the miracles? And they always just sort of said, well, that was a different time. You can't really do that. People don't, you know, they don't see. I'm like, where's the angels? Well, you don't really see the angels anymore. we just talk about them. So it was just sort of a weird thing where it, I don't think I never actually said I was seeing angels or anything like that, but I always felt fearful to like do that, to try to do that, because it seemed like I was told that that's not something that's possible, even
Mm.
though the message was always these supernatural things happening. Um, and it seemed to happen to everyday individuals that, were called by an energy. Their path changed because they met the energy of God. They met their destiny or their path in life. Um, and that sort of, you know, stifled probably my growth growing as a spiritual individual. And I stayed fairly spiritual as far as staying to a Lutheran faith, and following, you know, what I was told. And then I remember later in my life, I actually had I was in a prayer circle, and I remember really distinctly it was the first time I felt energy move through my hands, and I looked over at the people next to me. I'm like, is this real? Like, why am I just like, are my hands going numb because we're praying so long? No, it was just a few minutes. It wasn't that long, but it was just you could feel the interconnectedness of the people. They were all
Mm.
focused on um, not necessarily strict religion. They were focused on each other. They were focused on building each other up, focused on how they could help each other, and how they could help the world. You um, and so fast forward a little bit. I had a I went to the military and experienced life there, trying to seek self discipline and realizing that that's something I found in myself. Um, and then it was about 2006. 2006 is when I first started trying out Reiki or hearing about spiritual things, and I started, you know, looking into it, buying different books. I started seeing an energy practitioner, a cranial sacral therapist. Have you ever heard of cranial sacral therapy?
No.
It's um, it's basically sort of a base description would be it's sort of like acupuncture, where a practitioner will um, focus on different points um, on the body and on the head, and um, basically help release energy and blockages.
Mm.
Um, and I did that for years. And with the Reiki, when I learned it in 2006, I never really felt energy. I thought I would, you know, become a Reiki master right then. I start healing people, um, and it didn't quite happen like that. You sort of have to become the energy. You have to sort of let it become in a daily practice. So when people go to like learn Usui Reiki or different energy practices, they can learn those things very quickly, like in a weekend, or even like a couple hour session, like on a video. Um, but and that's the thing, anyone can learn energy work because we all
Mm.
have this innate ability inside of us to move this energy to heal our lives. Um, and so when people can, they say they can learn it, they can, but they have to start practicing it to build a belief structure around it. They have to build sort of their own, I don't want to call it religion, but they have to build their like belief structure, how they live their daily practice. And and move their energy, so they can become aware of what the energy is doing that they just did. What did they just learn? Well, they have to find out after they learned Reiki. They have after they learn the symbols and the techniques. Then that's just where the learning begins. That's just where now they're aware that a system is there. That now they just have to cultivate it. The seed has been planted, and now it's up to them how it grows. It's up to
Mm.
them. Um,
So you are able to perform Reiki on yourself then.
oh yes, of course, yes. Um, Reiki is just universal energy.
Mm.
Um, so when you say you practice Reiki, it's just a practice of moving energy, and really Reiki is about the inner self. So as a practitioner, the best practitioner can drop into himself or herself or themselves and focus on them. So when they come to a session, it's about being able to sort of set like a frequency example, like an energetic example. Like so if a river is flowing and you want to show someone how that river's flowing or should flow, then that's the way you push the water.
Mm.
So when I come to a person and I see them as an individual or energetically, I see their structure and how their energy is moving. And basically, I assist them to either internally see, subconsciously, to see their own pattern and allow energy to flow that way. Um, and then sometimes it's a guided. So sometimes people will see their own energy and guide themselves, and that's used typically the best way um, for people to be in healing sessions. It's the one where the person can see the energy and it's just enhanced by the practitioner. You can just by you being there and being connected to the earth, it's it's just an enhancement. It's like using two where there was one before.
Mm.
And it is like a biblical saying where two or more are gathered in my name. Two or more are gathered to do a same focus where you gather these energies. It's the model of bringing bringing us back from separation, is combining our energies together. What can we do together? And that's sort of, you know, leads into cosmic awakening. But before that, um, I just wanted to finish with the Reiki. Yeah, so as a universal energy practitioner, all of us have the ability, and all of us have, I would say, the ability to do almost all the clairs. It's just sort of what you are focused on and what your DNA is set up to utilize, and what you've sort of been designed and what you've planned to come into this life to do.
Mm.
Um, so I sort of found my life's mission. I was like, okay, I got Reiki. Now I'm gonna, you know, go try this out and see how it works. Well, 2006, now it's, 2024. Um, I didn't get the ball really start rolling until 2020. Um, 2020, I I'd sort of given up on energy practice. I sort of started focusing on not expanding the spiritual because I had no awareness of it. I didn't see different um, energy structures on people. I didn't see auras. Um, I didn't feel the energy coming from my hands for Reiki. Um, I had some trust it was there, but it wasn't enough to focus on. Um, so I sort of had given up on the spirituality quest. So I sort of said, okay, I'm doing good. I got a good job. I'm working out 5 days a week at least. And my family's all healthy. Um, we got a roof over our heads. I can just sort of cruise into the world. I just bought a VR headset,
Mm.
and I mean, one way to wake up spiritually is put a VR headset on and realize that, that it's so easy to change your energy and make your mind believe you are somewhere else. It,
Wow.
it's just just from the little bit of graphics that you see now, it's just going to be unimaginable here soon. Um, so as I gave up this quest to spirituality, um, I was like, well, tech can provide everything. TV can provide um, missing links to what I'm looking for in life. Some show will give me a message. It was as simple as that, and it was actually I was on the gym floor and I had a stroke. Um,
Oh wow.
I had I had a blood clot that went through a hole that was in my heart, um, and it's 1 out of 3 people don't have this little heart hole that closes after birth. It typically closes for most people and doesn't cause problems for the others, but some people, um, clots can travel through that hole. Um, and I was told due to extreme abdominal pressure, I likely pushed some clots through, and they went to my brain. And during that time, I started. It was at the beginning of a workout, so I was like, "Why am I tired? Why am I? I feel like I can barely move my arm." And I was trying to wrap my hand around the barbell, and I was like, "Oh, I better sit down for a minute." And it was like 2 minutes into the workout, and the trainer came over and was like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she said, "You just need to sit down for a minute." And so the next thing I knew, um, I never saw any. I never had any visuals there. Everything just sort of went, um, sort of faded. Um, I'm not sure if I quite lost consciousness fully. Um, it's one of those things where was I asleep or not?
Mm.
Um, and by the time the paramedics got there, I had stood up, and I felt fine. Just besides being a little felt out of it. Um, so I answered the questions of the paramedics, and then um, I said I declined a ride at the time, um,
Mm.
just because that's how I sort of am. I was I sort of I was at a CrossFit gym. I don't know if you ever heard of CrossFit, but you sort
Yeah.
of work out to you sort of like it's sort of like one of the things you work out very hard, and so you're used to picking yourself up off the floor and just dusting off your shoulders and going on with work and daily life. Um, but I did go to the emergency room. I was My wife drove me to the emergency room. She said, don't leave the gym. I'm coming to get you."
Mm.
so so she is looking out for me. Um, so at that time, um, a lot of life things happened then because I couldn't I I was a truck driver at the time, so I couldn't
Oh.
jump into back into a truck. Um, so I had a year to sort of integrate this, and then right before, let me get a drink here real quick.
So was that the NDE when the gym when you had the stroke, or that wasn't the NDE yet?
Yes, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. Um, and what happened um, after that? I started going back to the cranial sacral therapist,
Mm,
and almost a year later, in November um, of 21, I basically woke up on the table with the realization, asking myself, who was I? Why am I here? I had full remembrance of the life that I have, but I realized that I was someone different inside this body, in this form with me. Um,
yeah,
and it took a lot of integration, but basically, it's an Atlantean soul named Evaiah, and she has basically come into this existence through time and space, through vortexes, portals, whatever you want to call it, um, and has sort of walked in, and I've made space for her to have a space. I sort of call it the seeds of Atlantis. She tells me that there's more souls that at that time there it was a collapse of the whole world, so there was a lot of dispersal of souls at that time, energies displaced, um, and
so is it shared in the body, or like are you still obviously, right? You're aware of yourself and this other being, and is it there all the time, or is it just every once in a while?
yes, originally it started out as a channeling experience. So originally she came across as in a meditative trance. So I would be meditating and she would come across and give me messages, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is really cool." An Atlantean. Okay.
Hmm.
So um like, what else can you tell me? And she's sort of like, "Well, I'm sort of here, I'm I am here to provide assistance." And I'm like, well, "What does that mean?" Um, and that's sort of how I started to boil it down to like, well, what exactly is going on then? And so basically, I've been shown that this is sort of something that can happen with a lot of people. Is again the convergence from being separated, our energies, we can start aligning to souls, parts of our souls from the past, from the future, from the present. You can start combining this energy and utilizing it. And part of the reason that I had the stroke is because I wasn't doing the things I needed to do spiritually at the
Hmm.
time. Um, and that's sort of one of the big messages that I have is to get your energy right, to make sure your chakras are aligned, uh, you know have your aura checked, do all these things, you know meditate. It's sort of like you don't have to do all these things, but you have to do what is right for you to fix your energy.
Hmm.
So if you need to go see an acupuncturist, go see that person. If you need to see a massage therapist, go see that person. If you need to um, if you need to see just a regular therapist, um, a psychiatrist, a medical doctor, that's where you need someone that's looking out for your energy, especially at this time in the world right now, with the different shifts of energy going on. Um, it's just really paramount. People are having extreme highs and extreme lows, and more extreme lows because of not doing these energy practices of of the self. And that's where Reiki has really helped a lot, with me, and I know a lot of other members, is just staying on top of of their of the maintenance of energy. It's just sort of an aspect that not as many people pay attention to, and they need to. Um,
No, absolutely. Did you happen to feel anything in this full moon that we just passed through? Because for me, the energy was heavy, and then I spoke to someone else that had the same feeling. Like there was a heavy energy with this full moon, and I don't know why that was, but I just accepted it and said, "All right, I need a rest." And I couldn't do nothing. I was just done. So, did you happen to experience anything, or?
um, yes and no.
Mm,
So as having a community, it makes me very aware of different energy
mm,
patterns, just because there are people that are very good at following astrology and different aspects of energy, and um, so I prepare myself for it. I'm like, okay, what do I need to take a few seconds to feel that energy, and all the right things usually show up to what I need to do if I'm focused on preparing myself. It, I'll usually have someone text me or something, and have an issue arise, and I'll be like, that is the perfect solution for myself energetically, and it really coincides when you're really in tune with your energy. Um,
mm.
and that's sort of, you can do that with other things in like Usui Reiki also, but um, it's just hard to find as well belief structures around it, because um, when you look up different um, energy practices, and if you search for the depth of information, I know with like Usui, Japanese, different Reiki, it'll it'll satisfy the people's quest for knowledge,
Mm,
and that'll start giving the mind something to hold on to as a truth. Where if someone comes out with their new energy practice, they won't have the belief energy behind it as much. There's not already a snowball rolling with it. There's not already a belief structure around it. Does that make sense?
yeah. So when you had the stroke, it sounds like that was a big enough shakeup to make you like basically flip your whole world upside down, right? So
Yes, for sure.
so what else happened during that time? Like when this Atlantean being appeared to you or came to you, were you able to see her physically as well, or more just through like clairaudient, basically, or channeling?
Yeah. So I come through. It's sort of seen through like the empathic network. So
Mm,
I see her emotion. So anytime I started channeling her, and I would get the correct information, I would have tears streaming down my face, because like the I knew I was connected through that channel very strongly. Um, and what I became aware of is that she, at her time, was also channeling.
mm,
So it's sort of like sort of like telecommunications. We both called at the time that we needed to accomplish tasks to help each other. Um, that's sort of like a common practice there, is to enter like channeling healing circles. So that's sort of where it came easy to, you know, be a part of Cosmic Awakening. It's sort of, you come together as a group to help support and to help learn. Um,
absolutely, it's helped tremendously. Like just being part of the Cosmic Awakening community because of the instant, I guess, validation or confirmations, right? When someone, not so much validation, but confirmations, when you're able to channel something and then someone is telling you like, oh yeah, or you hear that, it resonates with somebody in the group, then you're able to see like, oh, okay, this is real. So at that point, when you were channeling things, and like you said that you would get emotional when it was confirmed, how was it being confirmed? Like, were you channeling things about other people, or what kind of messages was this Atlantean being giving you that you were able to confirm?
Mm. So anytime that she would give me like a message, I could sort of try it out. So
Mm.
I so like with energy work, she would come across during energy work, and it would sort of be under the same channel as that. It would be channeled energy work. So Reiki is basically channeled energy through you,
Mm.
universal energy. So it was very hand in glove that she would come across during my sessions, because that's sort of how her energy structure was set up. Because giving Reiki, giving energy work was one of the main things she did in Atlantis.
Oh wow.
Um, so the other times that I would get messages would mostly be from when I had messages for other people. And that has been one of the main things that has expanded her awareness and really anchored her into this world, is connecting with people in this world, um, and practicing energy work. She, she has a whole session basically, um, and and that's the crystalline energy session. I allow her to have more of a dimension here, more of a personality, and take charge type of thing.
Wow. So is has she ever taken you to see glimpses of like Atlantis and those civilizations? Have you been able to see?
Yeah, so anytime that she comes across, I usually have part of her story come across. So when I first saw her, it was like in the meditation chamber, so I didn't see much. But as memories come back now since she's here, memories come back from her. So it's like when it's so they come back sort of like when I remembering that preschool memory of mine. And it's sort of like that where I can remember it, but it's not so clear, but I remember like really structured parts of it. Like I remember saying, I want to be Jesus. I want to close my eye. And I remember keeping them closed. And I remember feeling my mom's presence outside the door, when she came. And then I don't remember the conversations other than that. So it's sort of like that. When I go back there, it's sort of like a dream structure.
Mm.
So some things sort of change, as in dimensions or colors. Um, some themes always stay the same. Like they have meditation chambers with pools, that connect out to the ocean, um, and different dolphins have swam up these chambers, mer people. So there's memories of those, but not like so. She's always said, if I want to go in, I can go in and channel these things, but we sort of have determined if there's a purpose to do it, that's when we'll do it.
Mm.
That's so this so so by her coming here only in 2020, gaining cognizant awareness in 2021, um, she's always sort of been in a little bit of a hurry. It always seemed to me, um, and and I've always sort of had to like slow her down a little bit, and just sort of say the change will happen when it changes. So we sort of teach each other things as we go along. Since most of her cognizant, she's younger than me, so her um, emotional structure is a little bit less unsteady than mine, actually.
Mm.
Even though she's an ancient Atlantean being, she's still a little bit less emotionally aware, I would say.
Do you feel like she's still like alive back like back then in Atlanta, like simultaneously living in the past and also in the future, like simultaneously?
Hmm.
Or
Yeah, I put out a video on our YouTube, the circle,
oh,
um,
okay.
and it sort of explains that. That is sort of my baseline. That should be my disclaimer.
Mm,
All things are within our field, so everything happens in the past, present, future, and nothing is outside of this energy field. And so, if that is the belief, then she's always been in my energy field. And what I was shown is there is, you can have, for this story, I have physical and spiritual storyline is with the stroke, my brain picked up different neural pathways.
mm,
And by doing that, I access different parts of my brain, my DNA, which allowed this energy to manifest itself and gain cognizant awareness if it's inside my energy field. Um, so, along with that, I believe that any life, past, present, or future, is accessible by anyone. Um, so, when you say, I have a past life as King Tut, well, a lot of people can have that past life. They just have to be able to access that information, that vibration, um, and pick up on that. So when these Atlantean seedlings are searching for places to go help, they get drawn into this time because of the conditions are right. The energetics are sort of starting to align back up of the time of Atlantis as far as um, the energy inside people. So at the time of Atlantis, they started out with being very strongly connected to spirituality, to their energy. They were very aware of that dimension of themselves. And so as time started to progress, there started to be noticeable loss of that. And along with that, a reliance on the mechanical structures to support the spiritual. So they were relying on more and more technology, more and more crystals, more and um, more and more taking of energy than using a giving principle.
mm.
The energy started to flip flop. And so it sort of put the earth on a different DNA trajectory. And so now, as we're moving into this new era, it's sort of going to evolve into that where we are going to start experiencing more of the energetic realm and spirituality because our awareness is going to naturally open because of the progression of the earth.
So what was her name again? The being?
Evaiah.
Evea. So did
Yeah.
Evea show you in the future like what was gonna happen as far as because like how you said that she had an urgency because even when I was younger, this being that would appear to me, it always had an urgency as well. That was one of the messages I would get. There was an urgency that our time we didn't have all the time in the world kind of thing. Well, just at the rate, like they say, in these times humans have kind of fast tracked like our own destruction or whatever. Maybe, obviously some people will argue the earth is never really going to be destroyed, but at least our resources, we're eating up through our resources and so on and so forth. So the fact that she always had that urgency, did she also show you why? Like, hey, everything's kind of, we have to change it, or is it more like we're just going to merge with technology?
Um, That is part of it too. There is a race a little bit against AI, right? And there's there's so many possible dimensions to what can happen, um, that she's just more of a general message of how many people can we reach out and how many people can we affect change to move into this new realm and not waste any souls. So if there is a spiritual upheaval where people start seeing um, multi-dimensional beings, um, then a lot of people might, lose their mind a little bit. They might think they are losing their mind, and there may be mass hysteria unless we reach out to enough people that where someone goes, wait, I I don't know about it, but I heard something about it. I heard this is going to happen. I just heard about it. So they don't freak out right away because they saw it. They go, oh, there's this guy Omar that said, oh, I heard it. Yeah, I got to go look that up. And then they go look at this stuff up and they say, oh, wow, okay, now this structure of belief is set up. You are setting up a structure of belief, just like just like Reiki. All of us together that are seeing seeing God, seeing angels, seeing their multidimensional selves, connecting to that part of them, connecting to other parts of them. It's the time to this is time to join this idea and structure together. It's
Mm,
not a religion, but it's just a, hey, there's more to this life. There's the structure, and you can move through it easily and see these other realms and be gifted amazing things if you focus your energy and get yourself right and use your compass. Get your compass clear, which I call the heart center is the compass. Um, and once you tune into yourself, then you can start radiating out to others. So when Evaiah says hurry, hurry, it just means you can always do more. You can always.
mm,
She's just super excited to be here. She's super excited to help anybody. I mean, it's just if there is time in this dimension, she's just wants to utilize it, and that's pretty much just the message. So it's
mm,
not necessarily there's an event happening, a specific event where there might be specific events happening. It's just where is your energy? Are you ready to have an unconditional love and support for whatever the universe is bringing you? Are you ready to move into the proper dimension? Most people should know in their heart of hearts, am I do I walk around generally with my energy oriented in the proper direction? Am I a loving person for real? And if not, how do I fix that? If I only feel hate, who can I seek out to help me change that? And that's where people like your podcast and Cosmic Awakening, and there's many others, um, are starting groups and spreading the message that it's okay. Just sort of relax,
mm.
take a deep breath, you know, sort of tune into yourself, and you know, I don't know, and it's just we're doing our mission. That's where she tells me, even though we're being hurried, relax in the fact that you're doing the mission all energies provided to assist you. Um, so you can boost yourself by utilizing these other energies. Um, yeah.
No, no, that made perfect sense. Like it gave me a whole different perspective on that, like the urgency too. Like now I see it differently because something that I was channeling not too long ago. They kept telling me just enjoy the ride and very like relaxed, like very. It's like still do everything you're doing, but not to give in to that, like the anxious energy, the
Mm.
losing your mind, like oh this and that. Even if people are putting this energy, oh the world's gonna be in upheaval, or what if there's an invasion or this or that, like not because I mean as long as you're putting your energy like that, right, in a good way, in a positive way, we are helping to change that, right? Like unfortunately, yeah, people are gonna give in to the they're allowing all that, like, right? It's like brainwashing, right? The oh no, it's the chaos, and then it's the herd mentality, and then more people just yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But something kept telling me that, and it appeared more than once where it was just it said that in a very calm way, like just enjoy the ride. And it was at a moment when I was overthinking, so that made sense. It was like I was overthinking, what about this, what about that, and they were like, just enjoy the ride. And I was like, all right, fine. Evaiah, right? That's
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
okay.
you got it.
Is she the one that guided you to start the cosmic awakening, or
Pretty much, yes.
okay,
Yeah. So so upon my awareness, the first thing was to now I wish I would have wrote it down, the book that I got. I'll share it in the chat on the video.
okay,
I This lady's book. I read it. It was on walk-ins. I think it might be called walk-ins, but don't quote me. I'll just type it in the chat. And I really connected with it. I was like, this is it. I had a walk-in experience for sure.
mm,
Um, because when it did happen, it did cause upheaval. Because I did tell people about it. I did start talking in the third person. I did start saying like Bret did that. Bret, you know, it was very confusing at the time. Yes, before I got my energy settled. So yeah. So you were asking. Sorry, I
about the
got.
starting the cosmic awakening, and if she was the one that kind of pushed you to do it.
Yes. So okay. So then after the book, I, the next book I think that was recommended for me is a book by Elizabeth April. You're not dying. You're just waking up.
Oh,
And that one was one of the first books where I started to have like transcendental experiences reading the book, um, where I would just zone out into um, a trance state and connect with Evea a lot of times, and then I would have to go back into the book and reread. Um, but so then I connected with her community. Um, it's an online uh, community, and I met Patrice there and Federica and many others, and we sort of joined energies and joined forces to just help people out. I mean, that's we just sort of saying on the Elizabeth April forum. We just said, "Hey, who can we help? Does anyone we want to try out our abilities?" We're all having these amazing experiences, clearing our energy, and we want to help others, and that's sort of how it began. Um, and now it's sort of just it just sort of ushered in more people and more souls that have sort of just aligned to um, that same mission, their same purpose that they're here for is just to assist others, to to just provide energy, to just provide love, to just connect with other people who are heart centered. And that's one of the big things. Also, you just get to see people that um, really care about what's happening in the world, but not so much where they're like, "I'm." Did you see the news? Did you read this? Did you see that? No, it's I care about what's happening in the world. Can I help you? The people right next to them. They're and connecting through online. People are closer now that are across the ocean and across the world. I mean, it's amazing having like getting to announce a time for a Zoom session that's you're thinking, okay, so if I announce this, we have a member in Australia, we have a member, you know, in England, like around the globe. It's just so amazing, like how you can connect through the earth, through the satellites, above and below,
Hmm.
and meet in a space where you can be accepted just because you can speak your truth, you know, and that's you know a lot of what people need to do energetically is to be able to speak. I mean, a lot of people, their throat chakra is blocked because they can't speak, because they are seeing these things happening and they're afraid to speak out to their neighbors. And that's when the great awakening is going to be realized, because I think it's already happening. Um, it's just when people raise their hand and say, "Me too. I
Hmm.
I feel that way," and it's when everybody comes together and starts wanting to build their own community. That's the whole thing. It's when I mean, not
No, I,
everybody's going to want to build their own community per se, but you know what I'm saying. They want to connect. They want, you know.
absolutely. And I think, like you said, like it's already here. I think, I mean, because it's available, right? Anyone that has an experience can look up online. Oh, what happens when? Because that's what, like, even me, right? One of the first things was like the spirit animals, right? The animals I noticed they were always coming around at the weirdest times and just appearing, and it was clear they had messages for me. So I would look up, go online. What does it mean? What's the spiritual meaning of this animal? What's the spiritual meaning of? So then after a while, like I memorized them and I just had them. Or sometimes it was like directly, right? The energy would just speak to me and I got it, right?
Hmm.
Or I would feel something and then it would confirm it when I would look it up and I'll be like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Like what I felt that it meant is what it's saying that it means, right? And so I feel it's already there, but there's still, it's mind blowing to me. Like, and I get, without judgment, obviously, because one of the biggest skeptics, like my dad, right? He experienced so many things, you know, like the house we moved into, uh, like when I was in high school, this little girl would appear, right? This little spirit girl. And the only ones that would see her were me and him. Not my brothers, my mom, no one would see her. Even once this guy he was building a patio and he saw her. And my dad was like, don't tell him because then he's going to get scared. He's not going to finish the work. But he's been like the biggest skeptic like throughout my whole life. Like even having seen things, he's like, no, I don't believe in that stuff. So it's to me, that's funny sometimes, right? And I meet tons of people that they've experienced things, but they're just so against. I don't get that stuff, but I mean, to me, I don't get that. I really don't. But I know like it's here already. It's everywhere, all around. Everyone's experience, even the people that are experiencing things, and they're just stubborn. Like I don't want to believe it for some reason. So I don't understand that part of it. I don't know if you have any insight into that. Why it is? Why some people are just like, no, I don't want to believe it.
I mean, it, there's probably multiple reasons, but probably the biggest one is a fear-based reason.
Mm,
You know, they,
that's true.
they
Yeah.
and whatever way that takes to unblock, to move that fear, to convert that fear, that's probably part of the fun they signed up for.
Mm.
So, so
That makes sense. That makes
yeah,
sense. That's probably like their challenge that they said they were gonna come here to, but they're just they, they
yeah.
don't want to. Yeah.
And there'll be clues. There'll be clues. Like, so those past lives, like when you have a past life regression session, or you just start channeling a past life, those those beings are showing up to help you. They resonate at your frequency to give you a message. You can connect deeper with um, other parts of you, um, and I've found that you sort of can do it like when you, if you think of, like when you connect, like in a church, like if you wanted to connect to Christ, you sort of set it up like how they want it to be presented in the mind's eye. So like symbols that bring your awareness to him, or food, you have the supper. Um, Sort of the same thing with like past life people I've found. So like if you tap into like what they were eating, um, what kind of music they like, um, and that's even where people pick up the light languages. They're picking up different languages that people have, um, and it can help bring these energies in. And it's sort of like a confirmation that the work is being done. So if you see the visual of this past life, you can you can reconnect and see change in that past life. You can actually go back and heal those past lives and change them. Omar, you are a little frozen. Yeah, it was both of them, and it might be the weather outside me because I think there's a thunderstorm coming my way. The storm is coming.
They're kind of
Yeah,
going
it
crazy where
is.
you're
It
at.
is. It is. Yeah, there was apple-sized hail called for. There's one weather report I heard. So yeah. So
Okay, it looks like it fixed now, finally. Maybe there was a cloud passing over or
yeah.
something.
Did you hear me though? There is a weather. There is. It's extreme weather called here, and like I heard reports of apple-sized hail and stuff like that. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I got some of it, like what you were saying. I know, yeah, but a lot of it was started sounding, you with the church about,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Some of it was breaking up, so I didn't really get everything. I don't know
Okay.
if I don't want you to have to repeat it, but you know.
Okay. No, I know where it was. So if you call into these past lives, you can sort of, if you see one that you want to heal and correct, you and take the abilities and utilize those in this life, you can connect with that life, and you can sort of usher in um, what you would call like a ritualistic behavior, like where you pick out their favorite drink, like what drink would they like, and you go to your food, and you sort of have a you sort of try and connect with them on that level, and that'll help like the senses, different music, put on different music, see what music they like, and that also helps with you connect with extraterrestrials. um, you can start communicating that way. You use your intention, um, and you use your DNA energetic structure, and you can call in beings to help assist with daily life.
So did they show you? Speaking about past lives, did they show you any of your past lives that you needed to heal, or have you been healing any of your past lives? Any things that were, I guess, blocking you or anything?
Yes, I've gone through a good chunk of lives. A lot of times they're fairly quickly to move through if you start looking in the right direction. Um, and a lot of past lives also correlate to energy work. Also, if I'm doing energy work on someone else, um, I feel it typically correlates. I'll have a vision of a life, and it's sort of, you can't really correlate it to mine or theirs. It's sort of the ones that the practitioner guides you to is typically ones that you have access to, or you can resonate at that vibration to help them through that life. You're
Mm,
connected typically in some way or fashion when you're helping people. So the best past life regressionists are probably the ones that have, you know, they're open to all lives. They're open to more energies. Their acceptance is at a higher level for that. Um, so so I think people can access any life they want. It's just a matter of, is it, it's sort of like watching TV. Is it is it necessary? Is it giving me a message? Is there a purpose behind it? Is it just to go
mm,
see this, or am I doing it to correct myself, or do I just want to have the experience? Um, a lot of times before, when I've just tried these things for the experience, they don't work as well. It doesn't
mm,
it doesn't sit as well as when I'm just I'm trying to confront any issues I have energetically, mentally, spiritually, otherwise. Um, and then that's when those best images of a past life present themselves. Because if this energy is in your field, then you're just calling this into your gravitational field. You're calling this into your presence. Um, it, it is like looking through the kaleidoscope, and then when it's turning, you decide, oh, right there, that's where it stops. If your heart is centered on the right focus of why you're doing this, then it'll be exponentially increased.
mm. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Like recently I was made aware of a past life that, like, it was an instant kind of closure, right? Like it made so much sense. And I've never got, I got chills to the point of they were almost like painful chills. Like they were so like, oh, like little needles coming out through my whole body. So it resonated like inside my soul. I was like, whoa. And when I was telling people about every time I spoke about it, those chills came back again, right? Um, yeah, and it was something about something that was done. And yeah, it was mind blowing. And after I got confirmation, right, I went somewhere and it was like, basically it was almost suggested. I'll just tell you real quick. Like, my friend, she's a medium. She actually, like I said, like if there's anyone that I'll ever like vouch for, like she helped me when my brother passed away, right? So she, thanks to her, like she helped me a lot, right? So I didn't have to go through things that a lot of people go when they don't have answers, go through when they don't have answers. And so I did a live with her, and after, I don't know, I guess she pulled cards, and I forgot that we had said about something, past life stuff, and she had these past life cards, and I mean, she doesn't need the cards, but I guess she uses them just, I guess just for fun or whatever. So she talked about that, like in a past life, either I was like married to a witch, or I was one, or the whatever, and then she pulled out something about baby, like, and instantly I knew. I was like, oh, they killed my wife and my baby, and it hit me to, like, I got emotional. I don't know. I try to play it off. I don't know if people saw, but I was like, my eyes just like filled up with tears instantly. It hit me so deep, that I saw that, like, oh wow, they like it was because it was something about that for some reason, like, I was probably when they were hunting down women for being witches, I was taking care of them, but I guess because my wife was one too, and then that they not only killed her but also our baby, right? And I'm sure me as well, but I didn't really. It was just it didn't even matter at that point. Just the feeling of that they killed my baby, and I that nothing has ever hit me to the core like that, right? Like it was just I was like, wow, like I felt it, right? And I felt the pain, and that, yeah, like I felt, holding your dead baby in your hand, like it's crazy to have, like, just instantly hit me. And it was crazy. Right after I went to the store and I was driving home, and there was just one car in front of me the whole way home, and the license plate just said one thing, and it said witch. I was like, talk about synchronicities. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't think I ever seen a car with the license plate that said witch, right? But it was like as I was driving home, the whole way home, there's one car was right in front of me, and I was like, wow, okay, I get it, universe. Like, okay, that's the confirmation right there. So, but it was healing to feel that. Like, wow. So it's amazing that these things that happen in past lives could still be impacting us here, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why I got into that story. I forgot what we were talking about, but
I mean, it, energy just sticks around.
Mm,
So if it's sticking around and it's showing up for a reason, and so if it's showing up for a reason, you got to do something with it, right?
yeah,
So why are
yeah,
you here?
yeah.
What's your message? I'm willing to listen to your message, and how can I assist you? And that's just the orientation that you sort of take, even like moving through anything in daily life, right? Any person you go up to, if because all of it is our past or present, because all these people are us, right? If we use that
Mm.
principle that we're all the same energy, I mean, these past lives, it just makes sense that we're going to connect more and more to more past lives, because we are on this accelerated healing journey right now. And that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely feel that we're supposed to close it out, like as we're going into this new world or something, that it's meant to be closed out, like how they say healing generational traumas or healing. I don't know if family curses is the right term for it, but it's something that's been carried on. Maybe there's karma to pay, and you're like, "Hey, I'll do it for the family," or something like that. Feels like it's happening. I would love to see if anyone has questions too, because I know we're already passing an hour, so
Yeah.
um, I definitely want to see if anyone has any questions before we start closing it out. I know Mariska was very excited. She wanted to hear your story. But yeah, I mean, if anyone has, if not, if there's anything else you want to add, oh, I wanted to ask you too about so when someone schedules a Reiki session with you, and I actually read, like, people have been very pleased with, I guess the Reiki healing, or what's the best term for it? Energy work, or Reiki healing, or
Yeah, Reiki
like,
healing is a good term. Yeah.
yeah, because I seen like people were very pleased with, the Reiki healing you provided for them. So, uh, I guess if people want to schedule Reiki healing with you, what's like, do they got to schedule a lot in advance, or what's the best way to do that?
Um, the best way is in advance. So basically, you would go through the website and book a session, and I would be contacting you. Um, the wait time typically is a couple weeks out right now, um, but if they're fans of the show, I'll work my best to get them in as fast as possible. Right. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
the part along with that is, I started Cosmic Awakening, and during this time, I'm also going to be starting a live location. So
Mm.
I'll be starting at, out of a, um, a chiropractor wellness center. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah. So my schedule. is going to be changing as far as booking appointments coming up here soon. So it will be better for more people because there will be more availability because I will be doing, um, even though I have a physical location, people can book either way for distance Reiki or in person sessions. So,
Okay. So I'll absolutely have all the links. Well, any links that you want me to add in
sure.
the description. And yeah, unless there's anything else that you want to add, if no one has any questions as well, like we'll close it out. But if there's anything else you want to add, by all
Um,
means.
I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
I was just seeing if in our chat, if we had anything in our chat.
Yeah, yeah. No, I guess not. Yeah. But no, no, I've been it's been an honor. I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. Um yeah, I didn't know a whole lot about your story, and you gave me a different perspective about certain things. So I'm really appreciative of that. Like, I don't know, it's funny when certain things they just click, right? And whether you intended it or not, like, just share. Everyone's story matters. Everyone, every single person, like, that, like, sometimes I know maybe different people feel like, well, I don't have all these crazy exciting ups and downs and this and that. Like, I know my journey was like very chaotic at first, and I get it why, I, I wouldn't have wanted it that way though, but I guess maybe it was my agreement,
Hmm.
But I love listening to calmer stories because it gives me something to strive for. Like, I'm not someone that's like, I didn't get bitter about all the things, like, maybe at some point, but all the things that happen to me, like, I get it that it's all, or it gives you the ability to help others, right? Like, oh, you went through that, I went through that, I got it. Let me help you out. But for me, I like hearing stories of, because I love like calmness and stuff, because then it's like, oh, that's what I want to experience. So
For sure.
it's always beautiful to hear stories. I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously your story wasn't calm, right? I actually did, like, when you were in the military, you didn't go through a lot of crazy things in the military. Like, did you deploy at all or anything like that, or?
Oh yes, yes. Um, I didn't go through too many crazy things. Like I was not in during wartime.
Okay.
It was 95 to 99, so it was
Mm,
a period of pretty much stability.
mm.
I mean, at least as far as the American military was concerned.
Okay. So that didn't impact your spirituality, like, on any kind of big level, right? Or
Mm, I would say that almost had that almost had a bigger impact just because I think that was the point where you sort of, I don't know, my energy changed as far as thinking that you know I could find stuff external,
mm,
like I could find happiness, like going out and looking about, and um, you know getting fit or getting money or leaving my parents' house because that's what happened at the time of before the military. Um, you know, and then so it was sort of like it is sort of timed perfectly so to to promote change at the time in life. So whether it was the military or just myself growing up, to say how much of a change the military brought to you, um, besides not going there. Um, I'm sure I had a lot more fear spikes than I probably would
mm,
have if I would have stayed on a different path. Because there were fearful moments in the military. Um, there were times that I did almost lose my life. Um,
Oh wow.
and and that's just, just from being around explosive material, I suppose. I was in the infantry unit in like a light armored reconnaissance division, so
Oh,
we dealt with a lot of
what branch?
munitions and
What
the marine
branch were you in?
the
Oh, the
marine.
Marines.
Hmm.
Okay, my brother was I think it was light armor reconnaissance as well.
Oh,
He
nice.
went in. I think he went in 93. I think he went in 93. Yeah.
I
Were
might
you?
have met him.
Yeah. No, I
Was he
wouldn't
out at
be. I
Camp
mean, he.
Pendleton, by the way?
Yeah, yeah. Camp
Oh, nice.
Pendleton, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and he was. I mean, 20 something years he was in the Marines.
What What was his last name?
Angulo.
I
But I
don't
think
know
in the
his
Marines
first
they
name.
put it. They put it together. It was like I forgot how which. Yeah, it was like different. Yeah, so it wasn't our you know like our normal last name, right? So it was
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's probably he was probably we probably walked past each other.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'll message you. Probably I'll send you a picture or something. See if maybe you recognize him.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. So you were out of Camp Pendleton as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. How long were you in?
4 years. 4 years.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure maybe you crossed paths because he was in the infantry, and I mean, after 20 years, I know he was a recruiter for a while. He did 3 years as a recruiter way after, right before he got out and all that. But yeah. So
That's
wow.
awesome.
Okay. No, I know it is life changing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah. So then, I think that's the time that I picked up drinking and smoking also, and that was a
Mm,
very very bad time. And which that's what I'm saying. It could have happened outside of being in the Marines. You know.
yeah.
So, and that type of
Absolutely.
stuff really changes you. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I guess on that note, do you want to add anything else, or well?
That's sounds good. Unless you got any more questions, I think that sounds good. Um,
No, no. I'm glad I asked about the military actually, so that gives me a lot more perspective as well. So yeah, that one came out of see, and you said it did impact you that much. So
I mean, it. How can it not? 4 years of
yeah,
you know anything, doing anything for 4 years, it's going to change you regardless of what it is. I mean, and then they make it very dramatic. That you know you're there for a purpose, a focused purpose. Um, and you are committed. You can't just step away. You know,
mm,
so it does take a different energetic effect on you. So when people are having troubles being in the military, it it can be difficult if they're not ready for it,
yeah.
because it is
No,
it's
absolutely, yeah.
a strong reality. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I always recommended it to everybody
yeah,
whenever I would see anybody that was struggling and couldn't get disciplined or something. They felt lost. I was like, hey, do you want? I actually would take people to my brother to recruit. And yeah, I mean, some of them wouldn't test high enough in the ASVAB, so it was like, oh man, like study, So, but yeah, sometimes they would just they would give up because they couldn't pass the ASVAB, so. But I would always take, yeah, anytime someone was like, oh, I'm stuck or this, you want to go to the military? And, yeah, I would always
yeah,
take people to, yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Brett, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I could see Jana really enjoyed it, Mariska as well. So thank you to everybody that tuned in. Yeah, and yeah, I'd love to do it again.
yeah. I'm so honored for you to have me. Yeah, and yeah, because I didn't even get into Evaiah's bringing like new method, or not new methodology, old methodology. She's bringing in all kinds of methodology to teach basic shapes. She's
Oh.
showing me how to utilize those for people that don't, know specific Reiki or energy work. It's basic practice that they were shown at early stages in life that people can replicate now and help each other. So a
Oh
lot of
wow.
new stuff coming out. So it's really exciting.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, absolutely. We'll talk as more things come out. We could always do another one and update people on what's going on.
Sounds
And
wonderful.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so
Okay,
much
well,
for
thank you.
having me on.
No, no, it was an honor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, all right. On that note, we'll end it there. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay. All right. You too.